fields and take these relations to a higher level. This visit has afforded us an opportunity to review a wide range of bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. It is pleasing to note that we are of the same mind in relation to how and what our continent and, of course, the world should look like. That is, borrowing from our late and former President Nelson Mandela's words, so that they should be, and I quote, work, bread, water, and salt for all, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, although the economic activities between countries are still at a relatively low level, there are ample opportunities for our countries to further expand our economic relations. In this context, we recall the signing of a memorandum of understanding on economic and technical cooperation that was signed in December 2015, which has the potential to enhance our trade relations. Currently, the major South African businesses that have large investments in Liberia are MTN and DSTV. In addition, there are some South African-based financial institutions such as the IDC and the Standard Bank that have been engaged by the Liberian government for financial support in infrastructure and mining development. Given the abundant business opportunities that exist between our two countries, we have agreed to look into improving an enabling environment to ease the manner of doing business in our respective countries. Your Excellency, we agreed to finalize the signing of a visa waiver agreement for holders of diplomatic and official passports soon. We have also agreed to speed up discussions and finalization of other bilateral instruments such as agriculture, tourism, water, and sanitation, among others. We are determined that our countries should continue to work together to take our relations to greater heights. We also received a briefing on the upcoming presidential and legislative elections in Liberia and committed to provide technical support and assistance in this regard. Once more, we wish Liberians well as they prepare for the elections. In relation to issues concerning our continent, we are greatly concerned of the challenges threatening the continent's peace and security. We condemn in the strongest possible terms all forms of terrorism and extremism. The activities of these illicit groups continue to dampen and hinder the much-needed developments in most of the countries in the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa's development is dependent on peace and stability. We would like to reiterate the call for all regional bodies to intensify efforts to rid our beloved continent of these negative elements. South Africa and Liberia will continue to work together in multilateral engagements in order to address matters affecting the continent. We are resolute on our call for the reform of the multilateral institutions, including the United Nations Security Council, to better represent the interests of the South. We are committed to increasing and deepening cooperation, friendship, and solidarity between our two countries. We are satisfied and convinced that this visit will serve as a precursor for increasing contacts between our people and improve our economic relations. I thank you. Much over to you.
Mr. President, on behalf of the people of Liberia, and in my own name, I would like to thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to visit South Africa at this time. We are particularly pleased that this visit takes place during the year of celebration of Oliver Tambo, and this month during the celebration of women. Mr. President, both of our countries come out successfully from a struggle for freedom, a struggle for rights, a struggle for independence. And hence, the partnership between our two countries go far back to the days when Liberia, the first independent nation without any colonial ties, or real colonial ties, if I may say, were able to support in small ways the liberation struggle in South Africa, the fight for apartheid. And that partnership has continued over time, interrupted for a while because of our own internal conflicts, but have again gained momentum, not only when we sought peace through the support that included South Africa, but also since this administration took over the leadership of the country in 2006. This visit, Mr. President, to us is very monumental. It provides us the opportunity to look at the many exchanges that have taken place over recent years in the attempt to identify those specific areas of cooperation and partnership that can lead to an even stronger and deeper partnership. And today, we had, as you mentioned, a very useful participatory exchange that we believe had identified the roadmap that would lead us to a much stronger partnership in trade, in international relations, overall bilateral cooperation. I'm grateful for the opportunity of the meeting we had, the tete-a-tete, to be able to look at the areas of common concern that affect not only our countries individually, but that affect our region and our common drive to see Africa take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. We continue all to face particular challenges, not only on a regional basis, but in Liberia, despite the tremendous progress we have made in addressing so many of our areas that had been undermined in stability and in development. To be able to meet those challenges are the means whereby we all work together to achieve Africa 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals, to which all our African countries have contributed so much. We look forward, Mr. President, to moving forward from this visit to being able to come up in a short period of time in really concretizing specific areas of cooperation, as has been discussed in our meeting. I look forward to receiving you in Liberia before my tenure ends. This would be a crowning effect and a crowning reward of this visit. As our country moves forward to a political transition, and I, after the results of the October 10 elections, pass on the baton of leadership to the elected president in January 2018, we will be able to look back and to say with strong conviction that women have been able to do it. And we hope that my own record will inspire the many South African women who have been so strong and courageous in all their areas of endeavor to be able to move forward and to take the example that I and a few others have made and to take it to the same height. We want to thank all of the ministers and all of those that have welcomed us so well, so cordially, for being able to be with us, to accord us the kind of courtesy for which we are so grateful. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity of this historic, the first for a Liberian president.
With your permission, Your Excellencies, will take a few questions from members of the media. Yes, any questions to the Excellencies? Yes, Lehana.
Lehana Tsoteti from SABC. Madam President, you'll be taking leave of your office soon. Having looked at organizations such as the AU and SADC, do you think they've done enough to implement the decisions that they've taken to look into issues such as peace and stability? And to President Zuma, as Madam President will be taking leave, how do you see the two countries enhancing the current relations after her term of office? Thank you.
Your Excellency.
Let me go first. Well, firstly, I think, as you have heard, the two countries have had a relationship historically. And each country has indeed played a role when one was in some difficulties. The kind of relationship that we have built over the period they will be strengthened. We discussed that today. Part of the reason, as you heard the President saying, he has invited me to come before he takes leave of the office, is part of cementing and strengthening the relations between the two countries. Certainly, we have committed ourselves to take our relations at a higher level. I don't think anything will ever go wrong between the two countries. And we are very happy that as South Africa, believing in the empowerment of women, we have seen a woman in Africa that has come in a country that was troubled, but stabilized the country and began to develop that country. As if that was not enough, as you know, Ebola attacked this country severely, and she led from the front to fight it and defeated it at a point when many were saying it's going to finish off the population. That country is important to have good relationship with our country, and we will certainly learn a lot. And I want to believe that whoever will take over from her will take advantage of the work she has done, but also depend on the wisdom that she has displayed. So as South Africa will definitely strengthen the relations even more, and it will be because of her own effort that would have led to enhancing of our relations. Thank you.
Our regional institutions, including the African Union, have evolved over time, evolved in a very meaningful way in which we have moved far away from the early days of their discussions and speeches to the place where today specific issues are identified, in which we address them by appointing committees, heads that will lead the research, the analysis, the examination of experiences, developing the strategies that will enable us to address some of those continental and regional issues to which all of our nations have subscribed in keeping with our common ideal, our common vision for an Africa that the people want. And so I believe that in addressing those issues, you will see a bigger strength, a deeper commitment on the part of our regional institutions. Insofar as our relationship with South Africa, as you well know, South Africa is our biggest economy. South Africa is the one that has made advances with examples that all of us follow as we proceed along our development path. I think it is meaningful when a big South Africa embraces and encourages a small Liberia and say that we think we can form a partnership in which it will be mutually satisfying, because a strong Liberia and a Liberian economy that has reached the level of competition based on its partnership with others will enable us to enhance in a meaningful way overall Africa trade, overall Africa common position, overall Africa advances in the international community. And so Liberia is very thankful for the opportunity to work with partnership countries, and particularly South Africa, with which we have had a long-standing historical relationship.
Kaya, ENCA.
Hi, good afternoon, President. It's Kyle Kumalo here from ENCA. To you, Madam President, if I may just start with you. As you are just about to step down, maybe any words of encouragement to African countries in encouraging the electorate to really see that female leaders can actually be at the helm and do exceptionally well. And to you, Mr. President, just in terms of making sure that in terms of the economic ties between the two countries, obviously it's still in favor of Pretoria. So what will be done to try just to stabilize that? Thank you.
Well, part of the reason why this visit has been important is because it is giving us an opportunity to discuss many things, including the balance between the two countries. That is what we're going to be working on, led by our ministers. There are opportunities that have been identified, which I think, as we implement our agreements and indeed charting the way forward, it will correct the imbalance. That is what happens if countries have not met to discuss and review. Things could move different ways, but once you meet, you are able to deliberately balance that, and I think that is going to be worked on with time as we move forward.
As I go around, I'm always asked, what is the word you have for women? What encouragement you will give to women? And I have to stop and say to them, wait a minute. Look at what's happening. Look at the level of women that today are holding positions all over the continent and all over the world. Look at the number of parliamentarians in many of our countries. Rwanda, South Africa, Uganda, all being great examples of that. Look at our market women in the informal sector. The ones in Liberia that, though poor, are the vibrant part of our economy. The ones that today can say that I have a voice. I can take part in decisions that affect my life. I can be heard. So today we've broken the glass ceiling through my advancement. But there's so many that are just at the cusp of breaking through. And there's so many. For every one that does not make it, there are 100 others that are just behind them, fighting to make it. And so I have great confidence in what's happening in terms of equal opportunity, equity, justice, and the contribution of women in taking their rightful place in leadership throughout society, not just at the presidential level, but throughout every area of national endeavor. Because the record is clear, the empirical evidence is there that with equal participation, the economy, the welfare, the state of improvement in countries are improved when that is achieved. And that's why today all countries seek to reach that level.
We'll take the last question.
Dear Madam President, I'm Turkmen Terzi from Turkey, Turkish News Agency. Madam President Sirleaf, in Turkey, since the coup, one woman involved the coup, but 18,000 women jailed with 600 kids, and these kids are not given separate food even. So you are a Nobel Peace Laureate. So please share your comments on human rights violation in Turkey.
Human rights violations anywhere in the world, for whatever reason and whatever purpose, has to be condemned all over the world.
We have come to an end of our media engagement. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I think we'll depart this side.
President Jacob Zuma receiving Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf there at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, just discussing the relations between the two countries. And a lot of questions posed to Madam President there about female leadership across the African continent, stating that she had broken through that glass ceiling, but there are many others who are just at the cusp, stating also details around the long-standing historical relationship between South Africa and Liberia. These are visuals coming to us from the Union Buildings there in Pretoria. Stay tuned to ANN7 for the latest details and developments.